All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late afternoon now. Hope your Saturday is still going well. Plenty of fun college football today, but the Huskies are not involved. And again, there's just not a lot to wait on with the Seahawks right now. We just need to see them play a game tomorrow. And I don't even know if there's going to be a practice squad elevation. So I've been talking about the 2025 Seahawks defense, comparing it to the 2013 defense. So the first video, we just kind of talked about things generally. Last video, we looked at the front sevens. We kind of compared the front sevens one-to-one as best as we could. And now we're going to do the secondary, and then we are going to kind of sum things up a little bit and try to get to where we feel. And I don't think this is some great secret here. This is going to be where the 2013 defense comes out looking really good when you look at the secondary. 2013 secondary, out of this world. Richard Sherman making All-Pro. Earl Thomas made All-Pro. Cam Chancellor, I think he was All-Pro second team, if I think. Byron Maxwell, 4 interceptions. We had 3 corners with double-digit passes defended. Like, this is where things get serious for the Seahawks. All right, everybody, before we go any further, let's get some picks in over on Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football this year, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen. Look at all the fun stuff you can get up to over there. Look at all these mores or lesses that you can pick. Let's put our entry together for this week. I've got JSN scoring an anytime touchdown. Didn't happen last week, but I'm feeling a bounce back this week. I got Chase Brown getting at least 52 rushing yards against the Bills. I got Achane getting at least 78 rushing yards against the Jets. And I've got the under on Gentil rushing yards at 53.5. So get on over to Sleeper, put your entries together. They can look just like this. Remember to use the promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. Go have some fun and experience sports the way they were meant to be. Right. So anyway, like I said, 2013 Richard Sherman, probably the best corner in the league that season. 8 picks. I think that led the league. 16 passes broken up. 48 tackles. Great run defender. Just everything you could want in a corner. 36.2 rating when targeted. Just crazy stuff for a guy who got targeted a decent amount. 86.8 PFF. Now, other than that, the Seahawks kind of cycled through a few different options for other corners. Like Maxwell and Browner kind of split the cornerback 2 role. Browner early, Maxwell later. And they both ended up playing a pretty similar amount of the season. Maxwell had the 4 picks and 12 passes defensed, which is tremendous given he only played about half the year. Also forced a fumble. QB rating allowed when targeted, 47.8. So, I mean, that's just death right there. You've got 2 outside corners, and you target either guy, and it just feels like this has as good a chance of getting completed as it does intercepted. And Brandon Browner was good too. 78.8 QB rating when targeted, 10 passes batted down. Pretty elite stuff. The nickel corner was mostly Walter Thurmond, and I've always said in a more abstract sense that I thought Walter Thurmond was the best nickel corner of the Pete Carroll era. He was, I think, the most capable, and it was always kind of sad we lost him. I never felt like we fully replaced him. We came close with Jeremy Lane, but then Jeremy Lane suffered that devastating Super Bowl injury, and I don't think he was ever the same. So Thurmond being the best nickel corner we ever had, 6 passes defensed, an interception, forced a fumble, 67.5 rating when targeted, very low, very hard to do anything on him. PFF rated him a 76.3, 33 tackles. And we also saw a little Jeremy Lane this year, not a ton. Did some special teams, 4 passes defensed, sub 80 QB rating when targeted still. I mean, I don't think you can ask for too much more than that from a guy who you weren't even really leaning on this year, but I mean, this is a moneymaker right here. You've got 14 interceptions from your cornerbacks alone. And unfortunately, 2025, look, they bring a lot to the table, but our leading interception getter in the cornerback room is Darion Kendrick with 2. And he played 122 snaps. Now, that doesn't mean these guys are bad. Devin Witherspoon has actually been one of the best corners in the league, according to PFF. He's missed time. That's part of the problem here, but he's been So incredibly good against the run, such a good tackler, so valuable for what this defense does. 7 pressures as well, so that's something that these corners bring that the 2013 corners are not bringing. But as of right now, when he's targeted, 114.6 QB rating, which, look, I think that number is very misleading. I think that other than the fourth quarter against Arizona in week 4, he's been fine in coverage. But I know how that looks. 3 passes defensed for a number 1 corner in this league. I know how that looks. I still say he's playing great. He's the second highest rated PFF corner, and they would not give that out to a player who wasn't playing great. They wouldn't. But it's different, right? Richard Sherman left no doubt. He was the best corner in the league that year. I don't think he left any doubt. Witherspoon just not making enough plays on the ball. You can't really say the same about him. Enrique Woolen, look, 9 passes defensed. He's got plenty of games left to play. Some improvements, marginal improvements against the run, some improvements tackling. Coverage numbers have gotten better. Still not up to his usual standard and still not nearly as good as what we saw from some of our best guys in 2013. And only the 1 interception, which is disappointing. And the PFF grade is really low. I mean, it's mixed, right? You wouldn't say that it's a runaway thing. I give him a lot of credit for playing better lately. I do. And I think that a lot of his issues came earlier in the season. And, you know, we as a fan base, I think, have mostly moved past that. But you would not be able to stack this season up with even Reek's own best seasons and say, yeah, he's playing great football. This, you know, he's not doing anything close to what Sherman or even Maxwell did in 2013. There's too much noise. Nick Eamon-Worry. I love him. Played a lot this year. 47 tackles. Love how he plays the run. Love how he tackles. Making a lot of plays in coverage, using his size, using his length. Gets more pressure than just about any other corner in the league. 10 pressures. I think that's the most for any corner right now. Coverage. Some good, some bad. PFF grade is pretty good. But there are mistakes. There are problems. There are issues that you didn't really see with the key players in 2013. He's a rookie. He's a 21-year-old rookie kind of learning on the job. And we put him in a very high leverage spot because we think that he can do enough to make up for mistakes he makes, and he does. But I don't know if you saw those mistakes with the 2013 crew. So, again, it doesn't really stack up. Josh Jobe, I like him. You know, I think he's done really well, admirably. He's ended up playing more snaps than anyone else in this corner room by a wide margin. Tackles well, plays the run well. Coverage numbers are actually pretty good, although there have been bad moments. 77.4, I will happily take that. 1 interception. But I wouldn't say that Jobe is on the level of even a maybe Brandon Browner by this point. Maybe that's a reasonable comparison. Maybe that's about where I would go, but I definitely don't think he was Maxwell. 2013 Maxwell was really good. And as great as Darion Kendrick was, he barely played. 2 interceptions, 7 tackles, 5 passes defensed in 122 snaps is amazing. But what is 122 snaps really going to do for you? Not a lot. So shout out to him, but the impact is not there when you're not playing that much. So yeah, 2013 pretty easily clears. I can't say anything about it. Best I can say is that Witherspoon is probably playing better than you're thinking. He's probably closer to guys like Sherman than you're thinking. But again, still not on that level. I think that's pretty clear, especially because he's missed games that Sherman did not in 2013. And then you get to safety. Safety, another one where it's the 2013 safety tandem, one of the all-time great safety tandems. We already know where this one's going. Both these guys played over 1,000 snaps this year, so completely clean bill of health, which is not the case for the safety room this year at all. About 100 tackles for both guys, 8 total interceptions, 15 passes defense, 3 forced fumbles. Combined, they allowed about 500 yards in through the air. Earl, 88.8 QB rating because he gave up some touchdowns. Cam, 63.6. Both guys rated well by PFF, although not really well enough. Earl, probably the best safety in the league this year. Cam, top 5 for sure. And I like Kobe Bryant. I think he's having a nice year. Stayed healthy. 800 snaps, 56 tackles, 3 picks, 6 passes defensed, and a forced fumble. Only allowed 145 yards through the air. He's probably going to end up allowing fewer yards than Cam or Thomas did, but I watched Earl and Cam play. I know what they did to this defense, and I'm watching Kobe Bryant play. He's not on the same level. I don't care what PFF says. I know the QB rating when targeted is comparable, but it's not close. And as much as I appreciate the fact that Ty Okada got in there because of injury and played a lot and played really well, he played well. Tackling well, playing the run well, made a great pick against Washington. 5 passes defensed, did a little bit of work as a blitzer. Still kind of got beat up in coverage early in the season. Took a little while for him to really get the feel for that. Cleaned it up later. 74.3 PFF grade. It's nice, but again, I know the difference between Ty Okada and Earl Thomas. It's a big difference. Maybe some of these numbers you can massage him a little bit, but no, not a chance. And Julian Love, playing good. Got a sack earlier this year, actually. Made a couple plays in coverage, but he's barely played. So even his really good coverage stats, I mean, hey, it's cool. I like it, but doesn't mean a lot yet. We need to see what he does the rest of the way. It's not close, admittedly, but look, that's it, right? I mean, okay, yeah, the defensive backfield, everything we talked about in this video, pretty clearly in favor of the 2013 team. But you go back to the last video I made where we looked at the front 7, I think that 2015 takes this by a pretty decent margin. And, then you've got other considerations too, like coach. Pete was great, but I feel like McDonald is probably doing a little bit more in terms of at least the day-to-day and the play-to-play stuff to make this defense great. Whereas Pete was more about assembling the talent and grooming it and getting it ready to play. So even that's kind of like, well, I think I know Pete has done so much for this team. I know that he's obviously had a much longer track record of success than McDonald has and maybe ever will get. But if you're saying which defensive coordinator you'd rather have, feels like Mike does a little bit more than Pete did. Pete kept it simple. Pete was more about, I'm going to get the talent in place. I'm going to teach it. I'm going to groom it over the course of the offseason and practice during the week. And then we're going to hit the field. We're going to keep things simple and we're going to win because we're that good. This team, I don't know. I think you'd probably rather have this coaching staff. I think they're, at least during the game, doing more. So what's the answer here, guys? What defense is actually better? Have the Seahawks gone and beat one of the great defenses in NFL history, like 12 years after they initially built one of that all-time great defense? I think the 2013 defense still wins out, but there's another thing to think about here. The main reason why I say that is turnovers. The 2013 defense forced a ridiculous number of turnovers, somewhere around 2 a game. Like, all the interceptions they got, out of this world. Crazy, crazy work from that crew. Right? The secondary alone gave you over 20 interceptions. This defense not doing that, but turnovers, kind of fluky, right? Kind of sporadic. Kind of just, they happen, and they tend to be a little bit of a thing that's hard to predict, and at the end of the day, really kind of hard to sustain. Sometimes you just catch the good end of variance. This defense, this 2025 defense, not as good as forcing turnovers, better at getting pressure, which is, I think, significantly more indicative of the defense actually doing things that they can control at a high level. So, interesting stuff to think about. So, wanted to explore that today because there's not a lot else going on. Let me know what you guys think. And by the way, I know that some people are going to say, look, we need to see how this season ends first. The 2013 defense won the Super Bowl. This defense hasn't even finished the regular season yet. I know. I understand that. We're not really going to have an answer, and we may never really have an answer, but we're not going to even have a complete attempt at an answer until the end of the year. Like, we might need to see this defense do something nasty to the Rams, and then we might need to see them go win some playoff games before we even think about this. But you're thinking about it a little more than you probably initially thought, aren't you? See you guys later.